Yeah, I'm not fully fledged in Icelandic yet, so I can just hope she said good things about me. Um, there we go. So I chose to talk about something called PAM solution today. I come from a consultant background myself, and I had a lot of customers who had a lot of external contractors accessing whatever kind of internal resource they needed. So, for example, I had a lot of customers who rented out apartments to normal citizens, and then they had some kind of system to control the valves, the airflow, or water temperature. So somehow I needed to give them access into my customer's environment without sacrificing anything. So you may have worked with some that is not an IT person. It can be quite hard sometimes to have them understand why we focus so hard on security. So sometimes you have to sacrifice either the security part or the ease of use for these kind of applications. Uh, Worst case, or in most cases, you can often just give out the same VPN profile that you have for your employees. It is very easy, but for security-wise, it's not that nice, of course. Maybe best case, you created a specific security profile for the specific contractors, but it's very time-consuming for you as a technician to do it. So it was a very hard thing for me to find a very good solution, and that's why I chose to talk about PAM. So what is PAM? It stands for Privileged Access Manager. It is a product that keeps you or helps you to expose any of the internal resources you want to, for example, contractors, in a safe and secure manner. It makes sure only the correct user have correct access to the right resource at whatever time frame you think it's the correct one. It's built on 3 pillars in my view. First one, kind of obvious, it manages the privileged access to the devices or whatever internal resource you have. Second one, which is very important but a bit boring, it is that you can monitor and record all the sessions. And I say boring because we have today a lot of compliances to live up to. So, for example, you probably heard of the NIS2 regulation coming in. And if you fall under that umbrella, you will have to somehow audit all the external access you have in. I will go into it very deeply later. So, third one is the managed credentials. So, in this world, we can have a specific credential that's only used between the PAM and your internal resource. So, that could be an AD account that's used to connect to your server, and then you have an external account for your contractor, and that could be exactly whatever you want as well, but it will be completely different opposed to the one that actually is accessing the server. So the contractor will never know about what kind of account you have the high privilege on. So the use cases shortly. I talked about it, the attack mitigation. So one of the most common ways that company gets compromises is that you have given out some access to a contractor, for example. They may get phished, and then the bad guys have access to your environment through someone else. So it is often originating from where we have actually given out access. So with the PAM, we can actually control where, when, and how someone can access anything. That's the big 3 security pillars for it. Then, of course, the compliance part again. Some insurance companies will actually require you to be able to audit all your logs and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll solve that one as well. And then, of course, to gain all the visibility. I will go through it a bit more in detail. Again, the key feature or key function of it, we have the credential vault. That's the place where you have all the privileged accounts that access whatever, router, switch, printer if you want, or server. That is kept between the PAM and your internal device, completely separated. We well define what kind of users will get access to what, when, and where. Always go with the least access needed rule. We can even apply posture checks on this one as well. I won't go into that so much today. Third one, the monitoring again, and here we can do different kind of monitoring. So the first one could be that we just record the whole screen that they are seeing. So you will see the mouse, whatever they type, etc., etc. The second one is that we record all the keystrokes, for example. So it could be a very good way to go back in time to see what someone has done, or even just to have the learning opportunity if you have a senior consultant working on your systems. You can also view a live session of whatever is going on at that time. If you look at the different kind of components to build this kind of solution, it is quite straightforward. We have what we call the FortiPAM. This could be a physical box that is dedicated to do the PAM. It could be a virtual appliance run on your private cloud, so the VMware, the Azure, Hyper-V, KVM, whatever. Or it can be run in the public cloud at Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, etc. We utilize different kind of integrations. So here in this example, we have the FortiAuthenticator and FortiToken. This can be whatever SAML-based identity provider you want. It is no limitation to run the other Forti products. We can see up in the right corner about the target assets. So we have built predefined templates for pretty much all different kind of internal resources you have, ranging from Cisco router switches to VMware vCenters, Windows templates, of course, and everything. On the client side, and I will go more into this one later, but for the client is a big part of it if you want all these kind of nice features. But we also do support something called a web extension. So that's only a little plugin that works for Chrome and Edge and Firefox. And these are the core components that build up the FortiPAM. I hesitated to take this slide because I'm a very hard time to pronounce the first word, but we have hierarchical approval, meaning that we can have 1, 2, or 3 tiered layered for approvals. And that means that I, as a contractor, for example, can request access to a database. And to get access to it, it will go out to mail to the database administrator or someone internal. They will either deny or approve me with reasons. I can set a time slot and whatever. And if you have very sensitive applications, you can even have up to a 3-tiered level of approval. So it can go up to the CEO or whoever thinks they have the right choice to deny or approve. The session and surveillance we talked a bit about. I will show you a bit of how it works in a live video later. Scheduled credential changing is a pretty cool thing. I talked about that you have specific a vault for privileged accounts that only works between the PAM and your internal resource. We don't really care actually what kind of password or username it is, because after every session is done, we can even schedule a credential change. So you can have your, 80-character long password for the device that accesses the server. And every time a user logs off, we change it to something else randomized. So it will help you quite a lot for the possibility of credential leaking. Fourth one, and pretty cool one as well, we have something called check-in and check-out. It's just like you go to the library, you check out the book. Only you can have that book at the same time. So this is the same thing, you check out what we call a secret. The secret is just an internal resource. You check out the secret, and no one else can work on that application or server. It's perfect if you have databases and you're going to do major changes. And it can only be accessible if it's checked in again. So a little bit about the asset access monitoring. I talked about how we can see every user that's logged in. You will see all the keyboard activity, yada yada. I will show it as well. You see all the sessions that actively being proxied through the device. And you can also kill everything as well. The video I talked a bit about. The reason I took this slide with me, because if you look at the picture on all the settings, we can do granular, let's say, access and settings to each of the secret. But the very cool one is something called a Windows application filter. So we can deny or approve, or mostly deny, access to specific Windows applications that the server runs. So here we have created a profile that blocks Paint, maybe not the most valuable one, but you can block, for example, PowerShell, or if you have any other applications that you absolutely do not want the contractor to run. And the only thing that we require, there's nothing required on the server itself for this to work. It all works through the proxy. And the very cool thing is you can also apply this to SSH sessions. So maybe you have some contractor logging in and they're going to do some changes to switches or routers in the CLI. Maybe you don't want them to have the capability to wipe your device. So we can disable the command completely to factory default device, or for example, change password to admin users that it should not change anything to. So it's very versatile and very strong without having a large footprint on each of the devices. Okay. I will jump a bit. I took this out of the presentation because it's not that fun actually. So what I'm going to talk about is this one. So for the endpoint, for the contractor who actually will access your device, we have 4 kind of ways to do it. I will start from the left. So we have the extension only. For Firefox, Edge, and Chrome, we have just a normal web plugin that you can install. This requires none of the administrative privilege onto your computer, so non-admins on the Windows or Mac or whatever can install this plugin. And you will get all the base features. You will get the web sessions for RDP and SSH, whatever. You can see it up in the left corner. The things you will not get is, for example, the live recordings or being able to jump it, but you will be able to see recordings back in time. The second one is the standalone PAM installer. So we have a specific lightweight application that you install on your computer, which is just dedicated for PAM, nothing more. And all the features is, of course, enabled by then. The third one is the full Forti client install. You get all the same kind of feature, but also if we are looking into zero trust network access, for example, where you do device posture checks, checking if the correct antivirus is installed, BitLock is enabled, it's the correct CR certificate from your local CA, etc. So we can go quite deep with this one. But for a lot of our contractors, we have absolute no access over. So we have a version where it is completely agentless as well. It does not require anything except Chrome, Firefox, or Edge. So it can be run on pretty much every platform available. But as you see, we lack quite a lot of features. But it could be a way for when it's really needed. Otherwise, the extension only is very big. I mean, that's the most common option because everyone can install it. It's 2 clicks. We all know how it works. So we talked a bit about this one. For you guys who have used FortiNet products before, I think the GUI here might look quite similar, and that's because it is built on our FortiOS, and specifically the FortiProxy. So it's very familiar, very straightforward. You will have logs for everything just as normal. Very easy to use and user-friendly. So let's see if this one works. I have a video here for how it looks for a contractor when they want to get access. Let's see what happens. Nope. something is happening. Yes, it is now. So as a contractor, they open the web browser. They will log in with whatever kind of credentials you have. It could be a local on-prem user, it could be an AD, it could be Azure AD, it could be whatever, as long as it's something SAML-based. We see here 3 types of secrets. The first one is just a GUI session to the FortiGate. The second one is SSH session to the FortiGate. Third one is just an RDP session to a web server. So in this case, we have installed the extension for the browser. You can see here, the end user never has any clue what kind of passwords it's entered to the device. All is done by the extension. And they have full access via reverse proxy into the FortiGate. We'll just play around here a bit, just to create some kind of, yeah, you will see soon. So, second one, same thing to the same FortiGate, but over SSH, and we will start a web SSH session. Once again, no credentials, we are straight into the box. The FortiPAM, or the FortiPAM agent takes care of it in the background. Next up was the Windows server. Same thing here. We will launch it in a web session. A new tab opens up and it's logged in automatically. We're just going to play around a bit here to create some footprints, let's say. So this is how it works for the contractor. And note, this was just a web extension installed on the computer itself. So it's very lightweight, super easy, and you will get most of the feature with this one. So let's see how it looks from the admin point of view. So this is one of you guys maybe who runs the application or database. We go down to the events, look at the secret logs, and we will see right away all the different kind of sessions we have been run. We can straight away start watching the recording of it. Nothing much happened in this one, but you can see when we jump forward, we see exactly what they saw in this session. And we have all the normal logs with users, groups, approvals, yada yada. But for this case, that's all I show. So next up, the SSH session. It starts logging and recording exactly at the same time as well when the new session opens. Not much more to see. Third one is the RDP session to the server. Same thing here. And of course, we can enter the full screen mode to see exactly what they're doing. And you see it's very snappy, very nice. It just works. So this is what it looks like from the admin point of view. I'll skip this one. So we talked a bit about the approvals. I'll show you how it looks like in a one-tiered layer of it. So we can have different kind of approvers specified to single users or approver group. So we fetch this, for example, from the local on-prem AD or the Entra ID AD. And you can then control who will be able to approve, just like you do with normal AD groups privilege. So, for example, we can set that you have a group instead of one person, so if someone is away, someone still can approve it. Very straightforward, very simple. The check-in and check-out for the secret, same thing. Just see how it works. You check out the secret. It will not be available for no one else until you have checked it in again. And you can do it based on time, for down to 30 minutes up to a month. Let's see what the next one is. So I have a short video how it works for both the internal contractor and the internal user who will approve it. So the first thing we'll see, we have two secrets once again. The first one we need to make a request for. The second one is where we need to check it out. So in this case, I do not have any extension installed. Now I'm using the fully fledged FortiClient on this one. And remember, this can be either the completely free version or the normal paid one with all the features in it. So you can see here we can write a few comments to be able to gain access. And this is quite nice if you have a ticketing system. So you can get a ticket in the system, and you can then maybe write down the ticket number, send it for approval, and the manager or the customer can look into it and approve it. So this is now from the approvers view. They get a mail stating whatever it is. They log on to the PAM, and then they will have something in their request list. They will see all the basic information, not much to say. They can change the time that they do have the access for. They can write a few comments if needed, and they can approve or deny. And once it's been approved, the contractor will see it on the dashboard, and they can start the session. And do note this time that I'm using the FortiClient now. So I'm going to start the internal RDP application on Windows. So when we launch now, you will see it actually starts the locally installed RDP. And you can see down in the right corner it's also recording. So now we're using the native application for the RDP. And the same feature applies more or less. All the recordings, not much more to say. The next one is where we do the checkout secret. And it's very straightforward. You check out the secret, no one else can use it now. And once again, I'm going to show you that we can use native applications for Windows. So I'm going to start via the install putty, and it's up and running. So it's very intuitive, very easy, and it's quite a small thing that needed on the endpoints to make this work. It is only the client, more or less. So let's see what the next slide is. Yes, that was actually all from me. Thank you.